Hello everyone, welcome back. So as you know, we are discussing various set of question papers. So in this video also, we will start discussing a set of question paper that might be very relevant to your competitive examination that you're preparing for. And there are various sections of the paper that we are definitely going to discuss. But to begin with, we have economic growth, which is the paper from economics. And I'm sure this is very relevant to your examination that you're preparing. So we'll discuss the first section, that is economic growth for today. And we'll begin with the question. The first question that we have is, which of these concepts is qualified as qualitative rather than a quantitative process? And we have four options here: economic growth, economic development, gross domestic product, and per capita income. See, from the question itself, you can understand what will be the answer. That's economic development, of course. But what will be the explanation for this? See, GDP or gross domestic product, or what we say per capita income, are indicators of economic growth, and they do not cover the qualitative aspects of growth, such as equality, education, health, all these things. Whereas for economic development, if we see, economic development covers all aspects of social and economic development. For example, you can take R&D, gender and caste equity or equality that we say in growth. All these things can be considered. So the correct answer to this is economic development. Okay. Moving to question number 148. Consider the following statements. Economic growth will always lead to inflation. Economic growth will always lead to a fall in poverty and increase in per capita income. So these are the two statements that we have. We have to consider which one is the correct one. Which of the above are correct? One only, two only, both one and two, or neither one and two. See, we have four options here and we have to choose which one is the correct one. Okay, so accordingly, the correct answer will be neither one or two. That is neither one nor two. That is option number D. Okay, let me explain why. See, if high growth results in imbalance, okay, if high growth is the result of imbalance of supply and demand, then inflation is likely to happen, right? Whereas on the other hand, if we consider supply outstrips demand, if we consider supply outstrips demand due to high growth, then prices will again be depressed. Now coming to the second option, second statement that we have. High growths are necessary for reducing poverty. Definitely they are very important. But high growth may not always reduce poverty. This is again, you have to consider. The benefits of high growth may be restricted to top earners of the population, and little or no benefit, rather, we can consider, may accrue to the BPL, that is the below poverty line people. Also, whether economic growth results in increase in per capita income depends on something. That is, it depends on whether the population of the country has grown or not. If the population has outpaced economic growth rate, then per capita income will again reduce. So accordingly, the answer is option number D, that is neither one nor two. Okay, so we will be marking option number D as the correct answer. That is neither one nor two. Next, moving to question 149. If the income of some people in an economy grows faster than that of others, it implies that the level of income inequality will fall in the short run. GDP will grow faster in the next financial year. Again, we have to choose which is the correct answer. Is it only option one, that is one only, or is it only option two, or is it both one and two, or neither one and two? Coming to the discussion. See, again, this option will also be neither one nor two, but why it will be neither one nor two? Let's have a complete discussion about statement one and statement two. See, statement one, this will actually increase the inequality. right? If you can visualize a Gini coefficient graph and increase the last segment of the Gini curve, you will then see it will clearly be visible that with increased income of a class of people, inequality will increase, right? And now coming to statement 2 that we have, there is no surety of this, right? It is possible that GDP may actually reduce owing to the high income inequality because rich people has a lower tendency of consumption than the middle class of or the poor people, right? They tend to save more with higher income, which may or may not be reinvested. So definitely 2 is unsure, so we cannot trust on 2. So again, 1 and 2 both are not correct either. So we will choose the option number D, that is neither 1 nor 2. Moving to the next question, question number 150. Economic growth of a nation necessarily leads to an increase in population, natural resource, international trade, gross national income. So we have to mark economic growth of a nation leads to what? Now the options are 1, 2, and 3, only 4, 3 and 4 only, or 1 only. Okay. Actually, first let's discuss the statements one by one, then we'll come to the correct answer. See, the relationship for statement 1 that we have the option 1 is universally inverse, right? Why? Because economic growth of a nation necessarily leads to an increase in population, that's inverse. Now, statement 2 that we have, there is hardly any relation between them. We cannot establish any relation. Whereas for the third, what we have is international trade may or may not increase depending upon the openness of the economy and the sectors in which the growth is taking place, right? And coming for the statement 4, per capita income may not increase if population rises more than the growth, but gross income would always increase. So accordingly, you can identify then the correct answer will be option number B, that is number 4 only. Okay, that is gross national income only. Okay. Next, moving on to question 151. In the coming years, which of the following factors would help increase India's economic growth rate? Lowering of all prices, monetary easing, lower inflation, or increase in savings. And again, we have the codes, that is all of the above, 1, 2, and 3, 2, 3, and 4, or 1 and 4, right? So which one will be our correct answer? Let's discuss. Growth of an economy is affected by a number of factors. Right? It will be related to many factors. The growth rate will increase, let's say, for example, decrease in oil prices, with ease of monetary policies, tax cuts and tax breaks or tax benefits, moderation in inflation, right? So all of these factors will contribute to the growth rate increase, right? So the correct answer is option number A, that is all of the above. All of them are the correct ones. So we will choose option number A, that is all of the above. Okay. Next, moving on to question number 152. Consider the following about the trends of the national income in India. India's GDP growth rate has always increased post 2004, that is after 2004. India's GDP has never shrunk since 1991 reforms. Which of them are correct? 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, or neither 1 and 2. Okay, let's consider both the statements. Statement 1. Let's discuss this. It has always slowed down during the world recession, and Eurozone slowdown was after 2008. So definitely option number 1 is incorrect. Okay. Now coming to the next statement that we have. The growth rate of India's GDP has always been positive, even if it fluctuated since 1991. Yes, we accept that it fluctuated a lot, but it has always been positive. So GDP had never shrunk since 1991. So accordingly, the correct answer is option number B here, which is 2 only, because 1 is false and 2 is correct. Okay. Next, moving to question 153. Over the last one decade, how is the relationship between India's GDP growth as compared to the world GDP growth? There is no fixed pattern. India's growth has consistently been more than the world's GDP growth rate. Option number C, India's growth has consistently been less than the world GDP growth rate. Or option number D, until the 2008 crisis, India's growth was less than the world's average growth, and post 2008 crisis, it was more. Right? The first two options are here, and the next two options are here. Okay. So coming to the discussion of this, see, we'll come to the correct answer later on, but let's discuss. See, one of the instances that we could take for India's growth has been less than world growth. That is, in 1999 till the year 2000, on all occasions, in fact, except, that is since 1991 reforms, India's growth rate has been better than the world's average. Okay. So India has been called a shining spot on the world panorama of GDP growth. That is the gross domestic product. Okay. So accordingly, we can say that option number B is the correct one. That is, India's growth has consistently been more than the world GDP growth rate. So we will be marking option number B as the correct one, because no fixed pattern is the wrong answer. Again, India's growth has consistently been less than the world GDP growth rate. It's false. Under the 2008 crisis, India's growth was less than the world's average growth, and post 2008 crisis, it was more. This is also false. So only option number B is the correct one. Next, moving on to the next set of questions for economic development. For economic development, this is again a next series of questions that we have in mind. So for this, we will start with question number 154. The question 154 says, the process of economic development is most concerned with a rise in per capita income, a rise in percentage GDP, changes in the structure of the economy, improvement in the quality of life. So which one will be our correct answer? See, the correct answer to question number 154 is option B. This we can understand because it will be improvement in the quality of life. But what will be the explanation behind this? Economic development can also be referred to as the qualitative as well as the quantitative changes that is existing in an economy. Right? Economic development involves development of human capital, increasing in the literacy ratio, improving information or important infrastructure and health related with safety and other areas that will aim at increasing the general welfare or the well-being of the citizens. Right? One of the methods of measuring economic development is the HDI, right, which is the Human Development Index, which takes into account all the literacy rates of the country and the life expectancy, which in turn has again an outright impact on the productivity and that means it has a high chance or that can lead to the economic growth, right? So accordingly, we have option number D as the correct answer. That is improvement in the quality of life. Next, moving on to question 155. The average income of a country can be a good measure of economic progress, but not economic development. Why? We have three statements here. It does not capture income disparities. It does not capture situation from unemployment in the country. It cannot capture the efficiency of resource use of the country. We have the series or the codes given below, 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 1 and 3, or all of the above. See, let's come to the discussion of this question. Average income of a country can be a good measure for economic progress, but not for the economic development. Okay. While average, or if we consider the averages are useful for comparison, they are also, quite hidden or they give you disparities also, right? While average rates are useful for comparison, they will give you disparities. Will you be equally happy to live in both the countries if there are disparities? Both the countries equally developed? Perhaps some of us may like to live in country having a better opportunity, right? The better monthly incomes. Okay. So if a lottery that decides our citizenship or number that perhaps most of us will prefer to live. So there will be options between country A and country B accordingly. Even though both the countries have identical average, may have identical averages incomes, or a particular country may be preferred because it has more equitable distribution. In this country, people are neither very rich nor extremely poor, right? Or we can even consider, on the other hand, most citizens in the other country are poor and one person is extremely rich. Hence, while average income is useful for comparing, it does not tell us how this income is distributed among the people. Okay, we cannot make a proper decision according to this. So, accordingly, our answer will be option number D. That is, all of the above. All the statements are true. Option number D, all of the above. Next, moving to question 156. Which of the following may generally indicate the development levels of a country? Per capita income, average literacy level, status of health indicators. And again, we have four codes, one only, one and three only, two only, one, two, and three. Okay. So these are the four codes that we have for question number 156. So let's discuss. See, it's a straightforward question. Per capita income shows living standard and economic status. So definitely statement number one is correct. Right. So literacy rate shows educational achievement and it is used in some form in the HDI. So option number two again is also correct. Now coming to statement three. Health indicators such as IMR, MMR, and malnutrition rate show the general health and well-being position of the population and its life expectancy. So again, option number three again is correct. Right? So we have all the three statements to be correct, 1, 2, and 3. So accordingly, we will mark option number D as the correct answer, which says 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So this is question number 156. We'll move on to question 157. Consider the following statements. As per the IMF, every fast-growing Asian economy in the recent years has celebrated as it underwent a demographic transition. Again, a second statement is given. In India, the higher growth states have witnessed a greater demographic dependency dividend than the lower growth states in the last 2 decades. Now, which are true, correct? One only, two only, both statement 1 and 2, or neither statement 1 nor statement 2. Okay. Now coming to its discussion. As per the IMF, every fast-growing Asian economy in the recent years has accelerated as it underwent a demographic transition. In India itself, if we consider the high growth rate states, that is Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and Gujarat in the period of 1991 to 2001, had a dependency ratio which was around 8.7 percentage points lower than that of the low growth states, that was Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, and an average annual growth rate that was 4.3 percentage points higher. Right. So if you look ahead to the situation, the low growth states will benefit more from the demographic dividend, as higher incomes and lower fertility alter demographics. Indeed, over the period of 2001 to 2011, the laggard states have grown at an average of around 5% annually. So the difference between their growth and that of the leaders in that period, that was 2001 to 11, is just 1.5 percentage. So demographic transition seems to be correlated with growth, with some reasons to believe that casualty flows both the ways. That is, lower dependency ratio increases the growth and higher growth reduces fertility and consequently dependency ratios. Accordingly, we will consider option number 3 as the correct answer, that is both 1 and 2. Both 1 and 2 are the correct ones. Okay. So in this video, we have discussed up till question number 157. In the next videos, we will be continuing from the next set of questions, that is from question number 158. I hope you have understood the questions well enough and it was clearly explained. So thank you for patiently hearing me out. Thank you.